This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Please be aware I am not a medical expert, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. Hey everyone! Welcome to the Eat, Explore, Love podcast. I'm Ashley. This podcast is based off of my blog of the same name, Eat, Explore, Love. It talks about the unique challenges in traveling around the world when you have celiac disease. Due to sort of popular demand, I decided to also record a podcast to delve a little deeper into my travels and the lessons learned along the way. Welcome to another episode of Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast. This week's episode, I am joined by Alana McKenzie Page. Alana is a dating coach and author of the book, The Art of Feminine Seduction. Through this conversation, Alana had me feeling ready to take on the dating world in a way that felt manageable and the opposite of anxiety-inducing, which is how dating normally feels for me. If you're interested in figuring out next steps for your dating life, make sure to listen to this episode and, of course, checking out Alana McKenzie Page's book, The Art of Feminine Seduction. Enjoy! Hi, Alana McKenzie Page. Thank you so much for joining on Eat, Explore, Love today. I'm very excited to talk about you. I have a feeling it's going to be an emotional episode for me that I'm going to be thinking about for a while. So I'm so excited for this conversation.
So glad to be here too, Ashley, and I hope it's a juicy conversation too. That's my wish.
So,
Emotional and juicy.
yes. So would you be able to give an introduction? I would love to talk about your book a little bit in this conversation, but can you give us all an introduction as to who you are and what led you to writing your book?
Absolutely. So I'm a dating coach and teacher, essentially, and I teach people how to date better. That's the simplest way to say that. There are just so many ways that we are relating to each other these days, and in modern dating, particularly online dating, just the whole online culture, all of that stuff. That really doesn't serve us in relationships. And my personal story is that I really wanted to find a partner. Like, I really wanted to live life in partnership, and I could not do it. I was perpetually single for over 10 years and like not by choice. Like that wasn't what I chose for me. I just tried and tried and tried and failed and failed and failed over and over again to find a relationship that worked for me. So eventually I worked through a bunch of things. I did some programs, some self-work, some personal development, and studied the art of relationship. Like, I really studied the art of relationship and worked through some of my blocks, which were things around like sexual inhibition, like not feeling very comfortable expressing myself sexually, which just did not work to create romantic relationships. I tell you what, being boxed up was not attractive.
Yeah.
It turns out, uh, and also the emotional side. So this is maybe where we'll take the conversation on your end today, is like, I was not actually emotionally available for the kind of love that I wanted to experience. So I had to unpack all of that and become a woman who was emotionally available, first of all, and was able to attract the kind of romantic attention that I really wanted to experience. And I did succeed in that goal. And once I succeeded in that goal, I began meeting all these other women who felt exactly as I did, that they, were not single by choice, that they had been trying and trying and it just wasn't working, but they really wanted to live life in relationship. And they're just like, what's wrong with me? That seemed to be where people get to, is like, what's wrong with me? And the answer is nothing's wrong with you. There are just a few shifts to make, and you can have an amazing relationship. Like that, this is possible for everyone, is what I believe. Um, and I wanted to teach people how to do that. I was teaching, I was a corporate trainer, so I was teaching adults at the time, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't want to do that the rest of my life. And I thought, what would I like to do the rest of my life? And I thought I would like to teach dating. I would like to teach flirting. I would like to do adult education in stuff that I'm passionate about, like relationships. So I made the career switch, wrote this book, have been working on building all the social media things that are required of a business owner now, and really teaching people how to access this part of themselves, like especially women that have all of this block around being emotionally vulnerable with men and being romantically available, and letting that kind of juicy fun energy shine through, and the trust, like the really deep trust in being seen by men in a safe way,
Mm.
uh, can can happen for people uh, if we do a little work on it. So
I love that. And I actually had the physical stuff that you were mentioning about that you were very sexually closed off. I relate with that. Actually, as you're talking, I'm thinking of my best friend, Kira, that she is probably like, yes, this woman needs to do something with you. So
yeah.
uh, she, I'm probably one of the last of my group of college friends to, I'm the only one that's still single. They're all pretty much with their life partners right now. And a lot of them have gotten married. A lot of them are engaged, or a lot of them are just like in their spot in life that they're happy with. And, that is what it is. And I guess I'll go into my story so that we could have the most productive conversation possible. I am someone that all growing up, did not like. I just never was the girl that guys were noticing. I was a musical theater nerd. I don't want to say this that I'm speaking down about myself, but I wasn't naturally beautiful. For those that are, this is an audio medium, if they've never seen me before, I'm very short, brown hair, brown eyes. I grew up with a mother with blonde hair, blue eyes, and and to me, my mother is still the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And I think anybody with blonde hair, blue eyes is just gorgeous. And I every time I had a crush on a guy, they were always dating the girl with blonde hair and blue eyes, and it was so in my brain, that's what's wrong with me. But
Yeah.
I've also been told that it's my personality that's a problem because I'm just aggressive. I'm just being myself, and people just don't like that. And I've learned I don't care that people have an issue with that. I finally started dating around my senior year of high school. And unfortunately, it turned out I was being manipulated for their physical needs. And then in my second long term relationship, it was a 7 year thing of us being on again, off again,
Mm.
again being used for physical things. And I'm trying to be delicate because my grandmother will be listening to this podcast episode, and I don't want her to be so upset and ashamed. But I think it's also important, and part of why I'm so conservative and closed off about it is because I grew up in a culture where no one wanted to talk about these things openly. And I think that's part of the problem, and part of why so many horrific things and traumatizing things have happened, because I wasn't educated, because no one was openly wanting to talk about it. And when I was in these positions with people that I did love and trust, I ended up in situations I wasn't happy with because I just didn't know. I didn't have the information
Yeah.
to be able to protect myself.
Yeah.
So uh, and my last partner, I have to be careful in how I communicate this. To tell a story, to kind of sum it up, he wanted to move in with me. He did move in with me. His mother threatened to have us both arrested just simply because she didn't want him moving in with me. And that was kind of the beginning of the end. And things kind of continued to happen that way for 4 years beyond that.
Mm.
Because I just didn't see my self-worth, and that I was worth being put first. I was worth being a first choice. And we had we didn't bring out the best in each other. There was a lot of
Yeah.
toxic things happening there. And I am still The thing that is keeping me honestly from dating is I am petrified of having to meet a mother of the boy the man, I guess at this point,
Mhm.
man now that I'm dating,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
friends were not kind to me either, and
Mm.
I don't wanna have to deal with that. I've been on a year-long trip abroad, living in Europe, living out my dreams, and figuring out who I am and being happy with myself, and I have gone on some dates, but the first couple, and I've only been on like 2 or 3, and my best friend Kira, the reason why she's gonna be so happy I'm because I will call her up hysterical crying of, "I did not feel safe. They were very nice, they didn't
Yeah.
do anything, but I just did not feel okay to go and do that." And
Yeah.
her and I are reading these books, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
heard of this series. And I was like, I'm learning so much. I didn't know. And so her and I are
Mhm.
having all these discussions. And she's like, Ashley, you need to be more willing to be open to meeting other people and having these experiences so you know how to communicate and it becomes a safe thing and you don't feel used in any particular way. Because for offline, my former partner of 7 years also said horrible things to me in
Yeah.
context of the physical aspect of our relationship as well. So
Right.
that's a whole bunch of bundled of trauma for you to have. So when
Yeah.
you have someone like me, if we're able to show people if they want to go to a dating coach, I'm sharing the story, I'm gonna be vulnerable, and I'm gonna be the example. How would this work in getting to the next step of being more open in the modern dating space? Because I hate online dating.
Yes.
Sorry for the really long ramble there.
No, not at all. That's really, it's all important,
Yeah.
right? Like all of that information is important. And first, I would say our stories are really, really similar,
Yeah.
right? I did not identify as beautiful at all, and I and also received confirmation of that in the culture, right? Like there's just whatever um, pop stars or actresses or whatever is like
Right.
they don't look like me,
Yeah.
right? I don't look, and I also was into musical theater,
Yeah.
so and I'm a singer, and I wanted to be an artist, and I really thought as a teenager I can't because I'm not beautiful enough,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I thought that was I could not be successful because I wasn't attractive enough.
Mhm.
And that did bleed into the way I related to myself with men.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I also had a lot of experiences without knowing exactly what happened to you, but where I was in these situations that I didn't want to be in, that
Mhm.
I didn't recognize I could say no.
Yeah.
Like it didn't even occur to me,
Yeah.
honestly, to be quite honest with you.
Mhm.
Um, because I didn't know I had that power.
Mhm.
And that's the work that I do with women, actually. That's the underlying mission of all the training in relationship theory and communication and all blah, blah, blah. It's really all just about reclaiming your power and remembering that you are the center of your life.
Mhm.
um, my book is The Art of Feminine Seduction: How to Reclaim Power in Dating, Sex, and Love,
Yeah.
because that's the basis of it. And what you're alluding to in your story around not feeling safe now,
Mhm.
it sounds to me like you've never actually felt safe in relationships.
Correct. That would be correct.
Yeah. So this is not like really a new thing. It's just
Mhm.
when we come to relationships not feeling safe, we often begin experiencing more unsafety in relationships. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you just jump into dating at this moment in time. What is important to understand is that the basis of your whole life, really, this is the basis of human experience, is your nervous system and your ability to self regulate.
Mhm.
That's going to determine your level of safety in any given situation. So I'm guessing you're traveling the world, you feel pretty safe, like on a train by yourself, for example.
Yes.
You probably feel pretty safe um, walking in a new town that you've never been in. These are things that don't feel safe to some people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So our baseline, our safety baseline is different for like depending on different people. And women have gotten the short end of the stick often in safety because we actually are unsafe often in situations where men would be completely safe, like
Mhm.
being alone at night on a dark street, or being at a party where theoretically you could trust a lot of people around you, but it turned out you could not. It's like there are just situations where being in a female body um, is is not safe. And we kind of take that on, and then we bring it to our intimate relationships. I don't know if that sounds relatable to you in terms of,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
very much so.
there's fear and it's valid, but then we take it we
Mm-hmm.
take it on and we kind of keep it like we hold it close,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So in your situation, I wouldn't necessarily recommend just diving into online dating. Because online dating is a crash course in life, and it is going to show you exactly what's up in your brain.
Yeah.
If you don't feel safe around men, you are going to be having unsafe men all over your profile. They're going to be in your DMs. They're going to be catfishing you. They're going to be standing you up. They're going to be like, unsafe men will like moths to a flame. they will show up for you.
Yeah.
And that may be what happened in your past two long-term connections, as well as because of that kind of underlying baseline fear for you. um, it felt normal to be afraid, and so you just let it be abusive,
Yeah.
right? um, and this was a thing for me. I had to learn to walk away. That was really, really hard. um, so first thing to do, we can stay on track, is to work on your own level of self-regulation. So it's like your own level of feeling your safety in all of life, like any given situation, and then slowly working into, how do I feel around men?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
So when you're talking about what are things that can be done if not going and putting yourself out there and going and dating just yet, what are different things that can be done to regulate your nervous system, so to speak?
Yeah. For first, like baseline is to just be kind of living a healthy life, what we could call, it's like feeding yourself well, like nourishing your body,
Mm-hmm.
moving your body sometimes, getting enough sleep, having like drinking enough water. That's those things kind of balance your hormones and um, get you moving in a good direction. The next thing is self-awareness, we can
Mm-hmm.
say. It's like the knowing how you feel, like just checking in with yourself in a situation with men. So there's men on the street, rather than just kind of running maybe a fear response, you really check in with yourself, like, what is it about this man that's making me nervous? Or
Mm-hmm.
did we have these somatic responses? So I, for example, tended to kind of constrict when I was around men I was attracted to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my whole, like, chest would just kind of be like, just tighten up.
Yeah.
um, and so you just start to notice what your body's doing around it's people you're attracted to, or people who you're afraid of. It's like people who cause sensation in your body.
Mm.
That's what
Yeah.
you're checking for, is like, what are the sensations of in my body right now? Sometimes they're kind of nothing, but then when you start noticing, like, I'm attracted to this person, you might get the kind of like little squeeze there. Or some people, I have some friends like this, who they throw their energy, like they get bigger,
That's what I
they
do. That's definitely what
oh,
I have done. Yes.
that's fun. I love that for you. And what's that look like? Like, what's that look like on you?
I think I'm just more of a bro's bro all of a sudden.
Mm.
Not that I all of a sudden like broy things, but that I'm down to do whatever. I become more adventurous to whatever the group of people are doing. Um, there, again, I'm thinking about my grandmother listening to this. I'll put a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode. I, for an example, when I was in high school, someone showed in their wallet that they had a condom and it was blueberry flavored, and they were like, does anybody want to, like, it wasn't on anything, it was just in the
Mm.
wrapper, and they were just going to simply take it out of the wrapper and not put it on anything or anyone as a disclaimer. But someone was like, does anybody want to see if it actually would be like a blueberry? It's and the flavor that it was. So there was a guy there that I found very attractive, and I was like, I want to know, I'm down to have a good time, I'm fun. And because I was always told by my family that I am not fun. So he's going
Mm.
to know I am fun. And so by doing that, evidently was by testing out and seeing if it was blueberry flavored in the condom. And it, spoiler alert, no. So like things like that I would do. That's the most
Yes.
ridiculous example that I have. I don't know why that came to mind, but that's the pretty much the example that I have.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
A tamer example, but also strange, is my former partner of the one that was in my life for 7 years. I met him and he was very quiet. And he was
Mm.
sitting next to me. It was our first day of class. And I just smelled something very nice. And I just went, and I did a big sniff toward him. I was like, "Is that you? It's lovely." And so I just didn't have a filter. So those are two examples.
Mhm.
One is less, both strange, but one less
Both
horrifying
beautiful.
to my grandmother.
Yeah. I do have to say I detailed my entire sex life in my book. And
Good for
so
you.
my grandma did read that too, and so did my father. So
Oh,
I
wow, that's
I
so
feel you.
nice.
Yeah, I did feel nauseous for like 3 months before releasing the book, but we're fine now. Um, anyway, yeah, so I would definitely check in with yourself about your physical sensations in those times. Um, because I'm guessing there's a lot of kind of like uncontainment where you're like, woo.
Yeah.
And I have to say, that's a great energy to have for theater. So you
Yes.
were spot on for joining the theater and being able to, because that's what it is. It's energy management, right? Like knowing like, I'm a, like I'm kind of like a quiet or chill person, and then all of a sudden you can just bring
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Um so this is not to say anything's wrong. Like this is the thing too. Nothing, no behavior is wrong or a mistake or whatever. It's just that oftentimes we're behaving in these kind of automatic pilot ways, and they don't get us the results we want. And then we do tend to do things like get into situations where we don't feel safe, or overwhelm people, and then they're in their overwhelmed state and they respond to us in their overwhelmed state instead of loving us and treating us well, and
Yeah.
being being good to us. um, and that makes life hard. And really, I mean, I'm married and this is still hard for me. Like I am a dating expert and a relationship specialist, but I am still working on me, my responses, my feelings of safety. All of this stuff is it's a lifelong kind of an endeavor. But if you are consistently attracting a certain thing, so for people, this is often like emotional unavailability, unsafe men, um, like it's kind of, we tend to attract the same issues in men, right?
Mhm.
Like I never felt beautiful enough, right?
Mhm.
So if my husband says anything that even hints at like I might not be the most beautiful woman in the world,
Mm.
complete breakdown for me,
Yeah.
right? um and he will do that. Right, like
Yeah.
he will do that.
Because men
um
are not the sharpest tools in the shed.
yeah, yeah. And also, it's kind of like what I'm listening for, to be honest with you too,
Yeah.
right? Like if he told me I wasn't the funniest girl in the world, I'd be like, oh, okay, sir.
Yeah.
Great for you, like, okay. But because we're kind of conditioned to be on the lookout for our fears, that's what shows up for us in relationships over and over again. So you just want to make sure that you're at a baseline, that you're not attracting something horrible, right? Like men who tell you shitty things, like really shitty things,
Yeah.
right? And kind of meet you in your shame with more shame, right? Like
Right.
that's just uh, that's not going to be a good long-term situation.
So for me, if someone is like me and their energy is, you know, jumping out of them, what are
Mhm.
some things that can be done to help regulate? Is there anything specific that can be done to help regulate that so they can be at a stage where they can start accept they're attracting a little bit healthier things to them?
Yeah.
And I guess I'll also have a question about if you're trying to do things in parallel and you're still attracting the guys that have toxic traits for you, how do you notice that as you're going along sooner rather than later?
Yeah. Both great questions. So the first question, I teach a kind of a somatic but semi-spiritual. I mean, it's completely spiritual. It's based on like tantra and like the Tao and this ancient feminine definition, like
Mhm.
feminine energy, ancient definition, yin yang. Not there seems to be like this new emergence of like feminine is woman and femininity. We're not
Mhm.
talking about that.
Yeah.
We're talking about energetic shifts in this kind of it's very ancient teaching that's not about men and women directly. So in your feminine energy, that's your internal energy for all people, men and women. This is
Mhm.
about what is going on inside of you rather than the action you take outside of yourself, which all people do, men and women. We all have that too. um, in our culture, we don't spend very much time focused on what's the feminine in this philosophical model, which is your internal state and your inner awareness. So the somatic practice is to get back inside the body. When your energy is like flaring everywhere or shrinking and kind of constricting, you want to just bring awareness to your center. Um, and so the Chinese medicine word for this is your dantian. It's kind of in your generative organs, right? So it's in your genitals. And you bring your attention to that space and breathe into it, like really intentionally.
Okay.
And when you do that, it brings you right back down into your body. Like it brings the breath right straight down your spine, down into your core, right?
Mhm.
Is how we would call it in the West usually, is like just brings the tension back to your core, and it helps you um, either relax and expand if you're constricting, or pull back in if you're a non-container, we can say, like a thrower.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the most basic way that's like the practice that I make sure everybody knows, because that is the way you self-regulate too.
And
It's
it's
like
so
you bring it
simple.
back to your center. It's so
Yeah.
simple,
Yeah.
but it's not easy. Yeah, I tell you, as someone who's been practicing this for like 7 years,
Yeah.
this is the simplest thing possible. Literally, like like, okay, one point in my body, breathe into it. That's all. And in the moments of when you need it most, you usually forget that you know that.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
caveat there. Um, but really, that's kind of all you need to start, is just to start being able to bring it back into your own body,
Yeah.
like, and that continues, we can say, through dating, because we tend to
Yeah.
especially in online dating, even when we're dealing with complete strangers, we tend to start like throwing energy at them, or you know deciding all of these things about them, or you know really expecting them to treat us a certain way or respond like this at this time. And we forget to just keep it on our side,
I'm
stay in our own lane.
guilty of that. Oh, I'm such a monster when it comes to that. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Yep, me too, don't worry. I did so many years of really, it's not relational is what it is, but it's not non-relational behavior, and really just um yeah, doing all the things.
So I feel like the breathing techniques are good to do probably as you go along. Like you start to do it in certain situations, and then once you've gotten in the practice of it, I'm assuming is when it would be okay for someone in my position, let's just use me as the example, to go in and start dating. When I think, unfortunately, I'm in a weird, I call it the in between generation in so many ways, as far as I'm in between the technology. Like I was still growing up in an era where you went outside and played until the street lights came on. And I also was watching television all the time. And I was growing up with technology.
Mm.
And so I feel like I'm also in the in-between era of men and their entitlement and men like the generation more so coming up behind me are men that are starting to become more sensitive, more aware, more emotionally intelligent, and such. So I'm in a weird in between. And the ones that seem to be in my age bracket that are emotionally intelligent and nice are already taken. And it's just so unfair. So what I'm sure it's going to take, I mean, you always kiss a few frogs before you get to your prince. How do you start to notice the signs of, oh, this person's a toxic behavior? And I grew up in a world seeing different relationships of you just learn how to make a bad thing work.
Mm.
And I think that's what kept me in the last thing for 7 years of I will just do what I can to make the bad thing work.
Yeah,
What how do you get yourself out of there before you feel like you get to that mentality in that relationship?
totally. I definitely don't ascribe to that make a
Yeah.
bad thing work thing. I ascribe to the get out of any bad thing as soon as you
Yeah.
can. Because it
Which is
doesn't get
easier said
easier as
than
you go
done
along.
too. I've stopped
Yeah,
judging people for why are you still with it's super hard once you get comfortable with somebody to get yourself on out of there.
yeah. Um, so the first thing is to really just like practice that breathing thing. And you said you just practice it. It's like, yeah, I still practice that. When I have conflict with my husband, that's where I go. I'm going straight back into myself. Because if you're not self regulated, you're going to say things you don't mean. You're going to do some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like that's when people do things where you're like their friend and you're like, why did you do that? Because you weren't regulated. So you have to be, it's like you become better and better and better at that. Like
Mhm.
that's the goal. Um, One thing I can say is my husband's last relationship was also a 7 year off and on, super toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Is he a toxic person? Not necessarily, right? Yes and no. Okay. Here's the thing about people. We're all a little bit toxic.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not an angel.
Right.
I am not perfect. There are all kinds of ways I show up to relationship as a bully. Because I've learned so much about relationship, I know all the rules of relationship. I really know how he should behave in our conflict, in our whatever. Um, that's actually not relational for me to have the answers for him. uh, you know, the way that we come to relationship will determine so much of how things unfold for us. So it really takes two. It
Yeah.
really takes two. And the best thing you can do for yourself is become the most like strong, wonderful, loving, self-loving, trusting um, person you can become. Just all the things,
Yeah.
all the time. uh, that said, you definitely want to be looking out for self-awareness.
Mhm. That
You
the
want to
other
be
person
looking
has that,
that the other person,
right? Okay.
exactly. So immediately at the beginning of dating, like you can find this out in the method I teach, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit. We use kind of an emotional sussing
Mhm.
technique in order to create rapport, first of all, which is a beautiful and necessary part of a lasting relationship. But it also weeds out the people who don't have emotional intelligence and don't have self awareness. So you want to be looking for that. Like, do they have some kind of idea of what's going on inside themselves sometimes? um, are they able to apologize? That's
Mhm.
a really important one. Can they take responsibility for something they've done?
Mhm.
And you can hear this very quickly in the way that people talk about their other relationships in their life,
And
right?
is it true? Because I hear all the time that people are like, you don't talk about past relationships with someone that you're dating. I feel like that's so important to hear. I don't understand what the shame is or why that needs to be hidden or not talked about. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. It's there. There are all these rules. Again, we
Right.
love to make rules, and I'm no exception to that. But I also am a walking contradiction because I love to break rules. And I believe that intimacy is about breaking rules in many ways.
Mhm.
I definitely talked about my ex, and my now husband talked about his ex on our first date, which is what people say, don't do that.
Yeah.
One thing about that is we were both solidly over our exes, and the way that we were discussing it was very mature, we
Okay.
can say, like, quote unquote, whatever mature really means. It was very processed. We had both really done work on that, and we were pretty clear. Like, our energetically, we were both very clear about the situation that we had previously been in. So this is like, it's like a, yeah, don't do it, but it's also like, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
reasons you don't want to do it is if you're not over something, right? If you're going to show up with some anger and it's a first date, that's threatening to another person who doesn't know
Right.
you, right? Like, it's not attractive for you to still be emotionally hung up on some stuff that happened in the past with another person. Like, that's not going to endear you to a brand new human.
Right.
That doesn't say like, oh, this person's like really worked on themselves and is ready to be in a brand new pair bond. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's not what you're communicating if you're upset about something from your past relationship. um, that said, if you have come to a place where you are really, you've taken responsibility for your side of the things, right? For you, what I'm thinking is like, I should have walked away earlier,
Hmm.
right? Like, that's something you could say, that was a relationship that, knowing what I know now, I should have walked away from earlier. And I didn't have the self-awareness at the time,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's a great thing to say on a date,
Yeah.
you know? Um, but you're not going to be like, he did this, he did that.
Yeah.
It's like, the drama is what you don't want to be bringing to a first date. You're not bringing drama to a first date.
It's great.
That's not going to make you
Yeah.
hotter to a new person.
So take me through the steps, your teaching methods of what you were alluding to before, of the emotional or the sussing of what you were talking about. What are the tools that you teach?
Totally. So my book, The Art of Feminine Seduction. So we're talking about feminine energy, basically. We go into the shifts of the feminine, which are the things that generally in Western culture we have learned to devalue and not embody, like, not do, right? So masculine is doing, feminine is being. And that's for the reason we just talked about, being able to breathe, being able to get into your center, like remembering how you are. And I just had a friend have a really drama filled situation with a man because she didn't ask herself the question, how am I being around him?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's just like, you just need to start making these little shifts around, like, instead of being like, how much does he like me? The question is, how am I being around him?
Mm-hmm.
And her answer would have been, I'm being really dramatic about him. I'm being really dysregulated around him. And I'm being really needy and all those things. And that's a sign that it's not a good connection. But if you're not paying attention to that, you're going to miss that stuff. So the feminine part of that system is all about this getting back to the internal state, getting back to the body, getting back to our emotions, and being really truthful about our emotions and what's going on for us. It's about getting into the present moment rather than future planning or living in the past, like being afraid that your new person's going to do the same thing your old person did, or planning out your wedding even though you've been on only one date. It's like, get in the present moment. All right. So there are these kinds of energetic shifts that are really powerful to make if you want to become someone who is magnetic to an amazing man, and also relational, like really relational enough to date. Now, the seduction part of feminine seduction is the part where you're creating a relationship. And I intentionally used this kind of taboo word of seduction because I really think women need to rework this word in us. I think we've been taught really disempowering things about our sexual power,
Yeah.
and kind of rejected a lot of our own sexual power. So my intention in using the word seduction is to kind of trigger people. It's to trigger people, honestly. But my technique of seduction is not a games-based thing of manipulation, et cetera, et cetera. You're not trying to lead people astray. It's about leading people into love. And what I identified from a range of sources, including like some evolutionary biology and anthropology and like the neurochemistry of falling in love, along with this kind of tantric, a very ancient way of thinking about loving people and sexual energy. There are three things that need to be present for people to have a really amazing, unforgettable connection. And those ingredients are, one, attraction. So there has to be something about that person that makes you be like, I'm interested in that person.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know that person. The second thing is sexual tension. If you want to have a romantic relationship with someone, you need to feel, some people call this chemistry, right? You need to really feel like you would kiss them. You would take your clothes off with them. Like, this is not just a person that you want to talk to. This is a person you want to get as close as possible to. There needs to be that tension in the connection in order for you to feel like this is something special.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not just like, okay, you're run of the mill, like,
Right.
glad I had this conversation. And the third thing is that emotional connection. So my system of seduction, which is what the book teaches, is you want to get into your feminine energy as deep as possible, like really this deep awareness of yourself. Because once you can really contain your energy, like once you're really connected to yourself, you become more magnetic, which is more attractive, essentially. And this blew my mind. I did not believe in energy really when I discovered this stuff. Like, I was
As a
not
theater
someone.
person, you didn't believe in energy? That's
Well, I didn't. I believed
particularly
in
perplexed.
I believed in like high energy or low energy,
Yeah.
but I didn't really know about like metaphysical energy.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
yeah.
Didn't grow up going to my theater.
No. No, it was very straight-laced. It was
Yeah.
very much like, give it more energy, not like, all right, like, how are you showing up energetically? Where's your breath going? There's no chakras. I was not into that stuff. Um, so to really experience this was special for me. Like, to experience the actual shift, like, honestly, maybe men did look at me previously, but I didn't notice.
Mhm.
That's possible. But when I began practicing these energetic shifts, like, I got so much romantic attention. It blew my mind, honestly. It just like everywhere. Like, I'd be at the train station and these men would be helping me. Like, I'd be on an airplane, they'd put my suitcase up. Like, it was like I wasn't making eye contact. I wasn't like trying to struggle with my suitcase or anything. I would just end up near these men who would be like, hey, I'll get your suit. It blew my mind, the difference in just how men paid attention to me. I was no longer catcalled aggressively. My catcallers became things like, wow, you made my day more beautiful. Like, I literally had a construction worker say that to me. And then one time I was like getting a pizza in a parking lot, like walking back to my car. And this guy was like, I have never seen a dress like that. Like, like, this was the kind of new attention I began to get from men,
Right.
rather than maybe aggressive, right? Which is something that most of us have experienced, or complete being completely ignored, which was my actual norm. It's like no attention. Men started to see me essentially through these practices. The next thing, chemistry, right? Sexual tension, that's about flirtation.
Mhm.
So I was one of those people who was often accused of flirting with men I had not tried to flirt with.
Time. I got
Yeah.
into like girls would fight with me, and I would just be sitting like wide eyed because they would claim I was flirting with their boyfriend. I
Mm.
no idea.
Yeah. I was you. That was exactly it. So I really needed to learn like what was really flirtation. And I had to become more comfortable with this kind of sexual energy that seduction, like the word seduction, plays into, in order to really be intentional. That was the difference. Is like, I really had to be intentional when I was attracted to someone to actually be flirting with them, instead of just ignoring the ones I was attracted to and then being really nice to the guys I had no interest in, which was my previous strategy.
Yeah.
Um, that one did not go well for me, in case you're wondering. And then the last thing is this emotional connection piece. So that's the one that can be hard for people, because being emotionally vulnerable is hard
Yeah,
often
that's the
for
easiest
most people.
one for me. It's the other ones that are more difficult, believe it or not.
Okay,
Yeah.
well that is lucky for you then. Then this should feel easy to you,
Mm,
essentially. So my technique for using emotional intimacy right away, because I definitely believe in building emotional intimacy from the first contact in online dating, or if you're in line at the grocery store and some cutie starts chatting you up. um, I recommend diving right into emotional intimacy, because this is a sales quote, but it's relevant for all situations of life. People will not remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel.
yeah.
And that is so true, and that is so true in dating. So you often in dating apps, you don't have very much time to make a first impression.
Yeah.
And if your first impression is emotional, it's 1,000 times more memorable.
Yeah.
So you really want to get into being able to be emotional with people as soon as possible, as comfortably as possible for you. Now, I don't recommend you start talking about their trauma. I don't recommend that you try to start digging into their fears and those kinds of emotions. My technique for this is called emotional questions, which is sort of a technique I built based on NLP, and also that New York Times article came out about that study, 36 questions that lead to love.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that, that was
Yeah.
like 2014, 20 earlier than that. Don't remember.
Big Bang Theory did
um,
like a whole episode making fun of it. Yeah, yeah.
oh, there you go. There you go. It's a good reference. Um, so essentially, you can ask questions that create rapport and have someone like you more.
Mhm.
We're all interested in people who are interested in us. That's sort of a human thing, psychologically. So the thing you can do is to begin asking people questions about themselves. And what I recommend are emotional questions. Emotional questions initiate an emotional response in the other person who's being asked the question. And then as they respond to your question, they're also feeling more emotions than they would responding to um, quantifying questions, which is usually what we're taught to ask, is like really straightforward, kind of boring questions, to be honest with you. Where did you grow up?
Yeah.
Nobody needs to know that. That doesn't tell you anything about the person or what they're about. How many siblings do you have? Not important.
Yeah.
Literally will not tell you if that's the love of your life at all. Where'd you go to school? None of that stuff. What do you do for work? Horrible questions.
Yeah.
These are the questions people go to. Stop asking any of those questions. None of those questions matter. An emotional question has an emotional word in it. So this is the formula. It's an open-ended question with an emotional word in it. So that looks like an open-ended question usually starts with like what or how.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a question you can't say yes or no to. You have to give a response, tell a story. So you're going to start with like what or how, and then an emotional word is a word like feel, or hate, or love. You can even use some adjective or adverbs like
Mm-hmm.
favorite or worst. They're questions that elicit an emotion in the person. And if you notice, it doesn't have to be a positive emotion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
Which,
really
to your
doesn't.
point, is important to see how can they take accountability, how do they handle
Yeah.
certain adversity and all that other stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes people ask me, like, well, what if he says he hates the question about what his favorite food is or whatever? It's like, well, that's just information about him.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is you're actually just gathering information about this person. It doesn't really mean anything. None of their answers mean anything. You're just finding out who they are in a much quicker way, while also creating rapport with them, which means they like talking to you and they like you more.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that's happening. So instead of saying, what do you do for work? You say, what do you love about your job?
Mm.
Or how do you feel about, your current position is coming to mind, but that's like a really silly way to put it in not interview style. Like, like, how do you feel about, um, you would have to know what they do, I think, in this case.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you feel about being a teacher? Like, how do you feel about working with 12-year-olds all day?
Yeah.
Like, you can make your questions, kind of funny if you want to, right? Like they can be kind of like a little flirty. They can be, they can have a lot of depth and emotion in them, but they can also be really light in this formula, right? You're just all your goal is to add emotion to the first connection, like the first moment of connection. Um, the answers you get from people are so much more interesting. They tell you so much more about the person. So this is back to your question before about like, how do you know if you want to talk to this person and like, or if
How do you see the red flags sooner? Yeah, yeah, and
exactly, this
absolutely.
will let you know, because their relationship to their work is going to tell you so much about how they relate to the world. Like, are they someone who works a job they hate and they just keep doing it? Are you going to have to listen to them complain about it every single day? Or are they like really stoic about it and they're like, it's not my favorite thing, but it helps me do this or whatever? Like there are so many different ways that we can show up psychologically in the world.
Yeah,
And people's stories are going to tell you a lot more about how they relate to themselves and others and the world than yes or no questions about titles, labels,
right.
numbers,
Yeah,
locations. Like that stuff is pretty meaningless in the end, and it doesn't create any closeness. It creates no intimacy. So that's the technique that's like the beginning technique, right? It's like you want to start with that. Like do that as soon as possible. And you can do that in person, you can do that online.
yeah.
Um, it's just one of those things that's like that will begin to create more connection for you in all your relationships too, right? You can do this with friends too, honestly. um, it it can just really open up what becomes possible for you in connections with people.
I can't believe that we're approaching the end of our hour together already. So I'm going to ask my one big question, and then I have a rapid fire at the end of every episode. I feel like I've only just scratched the surface of what I want to talk to you about. Maybe we could do a part two, or we'll talk offline. But
Okay.
my last big question for you is, if anybody wants to use their services, what is their best entryway? Is it your book? Is it just going to you as a client? What's the best way to be able to use the tools that you've come up with?
The book has everything. Definitely do recommend the book. Um, if I wrote it again, I would not put everything in it. I think it's a little bit overwhelming. um, in hindsight 2020, it's everything. Like if you took the book seriously and did it as your own program, which is how I wrote it. I wanted it to be a product that people could really like change their whole love life with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you really applied it, like if you really did it, and there are exercises in every chapter, it's like if you really did it as your own course, you could change your life for sure, like really easily. um like again, it's all simple stuff. It's real This stuff it's not complicated. It's just a brand new habit, so it takes some working into your muscles. That said, if it's too hard to do it by yourself, like this is the thing, like sometimes I'm just not good at doing new things by myself. I'm not good at changing my habits by myself. Like, I have to go to group exercise classes because I won't exercise by my own, basically on my own, right? It's like, if you know that about yourself, that's when you should reach out for sure and get some support, because um, it works. Like this stuff does work, and you can completely change the way that you relate to others, but even yourself, honestly, is because it begins with yourself. A lot of the questions you had at the beginning, like around self-worth or like being worthy of relationship, the kind of relationship you want to be in, is like it can change your life to just move through that
Yeah,
and be like, oh yeah, now I'm in like this amazing relationship.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like that's not even a concern anymore. So if you need help, definitely seek help. But the book does have, I put it all in there. I put it all in there. And it's a travel memoir because, like you, I spent all
Mm.
my 20s living abroad and dating men in all the cultures. And it's also a little bit of a romance novel because I put all of my dating experience in it.
I
So.
can't wait to read it. I'll have to. I believe in physical copybooks. So I'm going to get a
Yeah.
physical copy, and maybe we'll run into each other in person one of these days, and I'll get you to sign it. And I may even try to figure out how to get my funds together to take some, because I think for me too, as I mentioned my best friend earlier in the podcast, but she'll say the same things that you're about to say to me, but I'm probably going to
Mhm.
listen to someone that doesn't know me as well telling me the same thing than my best friends. It's just I don't know what it is about humans that we operate in such strange ways, but and I am guilty of that one. So definitely highly recommend. I also want to make sure I say, if people don't want a partnership and want to just be good with themselves, I'm also at that point too, where I'm at the point in my life where I'm not sure I want to incorporate somebody else and
Right.
have to be considerate of them in how I want to operate in my life. And that's okay too, people. Like, you are not less than if you want to live your life solo. I commend it. Just sometimes
Totally
I get
valid.
lonely.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is just touching the surface, but I'm just going to jump into the rapid fire. Otherwise, we'll be here for a whole other hour if I keep asking my other questions. What is your favorite food city?
Food city. Oh my gosh. um wow, that's tricky. Hmm. I love Greek food, so
Mhm.
Athens blew my mind in that way. Um, but I live in Portland, Oregon, and for international food, honestly, never found a better place than that. Like uh, yeah, you would think like New York would have like way more, and they do have more, but it's like not necessarily higher quality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, and Portland just has like for a small city has like this outrageously wide array of like ridiculously good food from all over the world. Like tiny like Bhutan. You're like, "Oh, okay." Um yeah. And so that's also high up there, I have to say, in terms of international food. Yeah,
That's amazing. When you plan a vacation, do you prefer a vacation where you relax or that you're active?
both.
Yeah, that's the common answer. And
Mhm.
what is the city where you learned the most about yourself?
Bucharest.
That's
Romania. I should
yeah.
specify. People get that confused with Budapest, which is in
I
Hungary.
gotta tell you, Bucharest is in my top three favorite cities that I've ever been to. I
It's so
loved Bucharest, and I thought I did not go willingly, and I
good.
loved it. I liked it more
Yeah.
than Budapest.
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
It was this was a lovely conversation, and I feel like we're fast friends already based on this conversation. Thank you for creating a safe space. And by the way, for the record, because this is an audio only platform, people listening at home, you are gorgeous. Like, you have the best eyes, the greatest smile. So if you're ever doubting that, a complete stranger is telling you that I want to beat up whoever made you feel and gave you the narrative that you weren't gorgeous. So just saying that for everybody to know, because I know my grandmother will be listening to this and go, "Oh, I wonder what she looks like." That keeps being brought up. Gorgeous person, gorgeous smile, and a beautiful heart, it seems. So thank you very much. Which is the most
I would say the same thing about you, however, and I know you're not blonde haired and blue eyed, but for me, that's not a prerequisite for being absolutely stunning.
thank you.
So,
I'll take it. I'll take it.
yeah, yeah. You have a different brand, right? Like, that's how I think about it. Is like your brand of beauty is just different, but it's not less than. Like,
Yeah.
you're freaking gorgeous. You know what? So,
I appreciate
yeah.
that. So, everybody, please make sure to get Alana McKenzie Page's book, The Art of Feminine Seduction. I'll put the link to where everybody can buy it in the description for the podcast. And it was lovely speaking with you, and can't wait till next time because
You
I'll
too,
make sure there's a
Ashley.
next time.
Yes, I'm definitely down. This has been so much fun, and thank you for everything.
After after that episode, I don't know about you, but I definitely feel like I need a part 2. Thank you so much for listening, and make sure you get Alana McKenzie Page's book, The Art of Feminine Seduction. The link to the book on Amazon can be found in the show notes. Till next time. Thank you for joining me this week for all the fun journeys and lessons learned on my big adventure called life. For more information on the different cities discussed, check out the blog posts on hieatexplorelove.com, posted every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Until next week, remember to eat well, explore the world, and love yourself. See you next time. This episode is produced, scripted, and edited by me, Ashley. Special thanks to Sarah Mientka.